Hello YouTube. Today we will be taking a look at a 2011 MacBook Pro. This is a 15-inch model and it has a quad-core i7 processor. It came standard with 4 gigs of RAM and a 750 5400 RPM hard drive. Now I do not have the original hard drive, but at this point I would assume it's dead. And the RAM that's in it is also not the original RAM, but that is not a big issue since the Mac still works. In the box, the Mac is not in there, but I do have some miscellaneous screws that I do not even know if they go for the Mac. I got the software, the recovery discs, since this is one of the last ones to have a DVD drive. This part, which I believe was on the Mac when it was new, the styrofoam, and it's in one piece still, as well as the plastic. Now that's something you don't see every day. And power cable, or part of the power cable. And here is the Mac itself. This has the infamous AMD 6750M, I believe, graphics card, but it's set to Intel HD. And the main issue with this one is lack of storage. Now this is on a 320 gigabyte hard drive, but I plan to use this for a large iTunes CD ripping project. There are 4 gigs, and in the future I'd like to upgrade that, but I only have 2 gigabyte sticks at the moment. But the Mac does work, and it's quite fast considering its age. The keyboard itself has some minor wear and tear, mainly on the N key and the A, but it does work. Backlit keyboard does work, and everything about the Mac is pretty much in fully working order. Here's the I/O, as you would expect on a 2011 Mac. Now in this video, we will be opening this up and upgrading the hard drive. Now what sort of project would this be if we did not steal the hard drive from another Mac? Now this one has a whopping terabyte hard drive, and it's 7200 RPM, but in one of my other videos that I showed off, this Mac, the backlight does not work. It has the infamous inverter problem, where the actual screen still works, but the backlight does not function. And since I cannot really use this without an external monitor, I might as well just swap the hard drives. And this one will be perfect for iTunes because of its DVD drive, and it's much faster than this one would ever be. Also, not to mention more support, but you know, you don't really need that for music. To open up the black book, you have to push that one out of the way. You might need some tools. That's pretty much all you need. But you do also need a screwdriver, because there are 3 little screws that are a bracket. It's like a big bracket that holds the RAM and the hard drive together. Just like that, the bracket comes out. Now, if we were actually going to do something like upgrade the RAM, this is the time to do it. Because these little levers just slide out the RAM. But we will not be upgrading the RAM because I do not have RAM. There's also no point in upgrading this since we will be stealing its hard drive. Now, the Apple hard drive is very easy to take out on even older Macs. Get something like a pair of tweezers or something small that can lift the little tab. Once that tab is lifted, you just pull it out, and there's your hard drive. So now that we got the hard drive, we need the other Mac. Now make sure it's off. You just lift from one side, and there's your cover. Now the inside of the Mac has mainly Phillips screws, but the hard drive will need a special Torx bit. And before you do anything, always make sure you disconnect the battery. That can save you from so many problems down the line. And as stated, the RAM was upgraded. I actually stole the RAM from that 1 HP that was, it's pretty much toasted, but the RAM on it was compatible with this Mac. It's around the same time frame, so that was a worthwhile upgrade. Now, there are 2 screws here that hold the hard drive in. It's like a big bracket right here. One here and one right there. Now, once you unscrew these, the screws will stay in the bracket, but you can simply just lift the bracket off once they are unscrewed. And these have like little bumpers, the orange bits that help keep the hard drive from wobbling around too much. It's like shock absorbers. And the hard drive after that, it just pops out. That is how to take it out. I mean, it's not that hard of a process. It's pretty much like the other one, except that you have to take the whole back off. So once you get your hard drive out, the process is the same, except in reverse. And the only issue I will have is that I have to reinstall macOS, since this one was running, I believe, Snow Leopard on the Blackbook. But with internet recovery, that will save quite a bit of time, or you can always just use the recovery CDs if you have the option. So you first thing to do is actually take the screws from the old hard drive and put them onto the new one. And just like that. And now, once you get the screws on, the process is in reverse. So you plug in the hard drive, make sure it lines up, take your bracket, make sure that is in place, and what do you know? You got yourself a brand new hard drive. Now, many people would opt to get a SSD, but considering this is all I have at hand, it's not that big of a deal. And a lot of people would also want to swap the DVD drive for an extra hard drive or something like that. But as I said, this is going to be used for a iTunes library, so this will be staying. And now all you have to do is just make sure you reconnect the battery and put on the back cover. So I will be using the macOS install disk that came with it, and hopefully let's not mess it up. Even the disk itself tells you press C as it starts. Ooh. Now look at that setup screen. We're going back in time to classic Mac. This is Snow Leopard? Oh wow, this is older than I thought. I thought this would have been Lion, but I guess that's too new. We now have macOS installed, and now it's probably going to ask us to sign in and stuff. I guess if we want iDVD and other stuff, we'll have to use the other DVD, but I'm just going to skip that, and I'm probably going to update to High Sierra again. I first have to update to 10.6.8, and then I can install El Capitan, because you need El Capitan to move on to High Sierra, and you need to update Snow Leopard to El Capitan in order to do that. So this is going to take a while. I finally got an installation of El Capitan. Now that's one of the main benefits of having a retail copy on a DVD, because then you won't have to find it somewhere scoured around on the internet. Instead, you just put in the disc and it's ready. The installation was a success. So now we're at the screen here. Sure, let them send it. Continue setting up our Mac, and we should be in El Capitan now. Let's check about this Mac. We are on El Capitan. The link for the High Sierra download actually does work, and I already got it pulled up, so now we can update to High Sierra.